Tonight on The Roast, Channel 9 retains the cricket, Australia's minimum wage goes up, and Japan spends tsunami relief money on turtle research and cheese promotion. Look, I'm just glad to see that they're helping cheese rebuild its life during such a difficult period. Channel 9 has officially retained the rights to broadcast international cricket in Australia for the next 5 years. In a record-breaking deal, 9 will pay around $450 million to Cricket Australia for the TV rights, narrowly beating out Network 10 and signing the agreement just 50 minutes before yesterday's 5 p.m. deadline. And thank God 9 won, because think of all those iconic things we might have lost. Benno, Laurie, Chappelli, the others. Cute duck animations, and this.
So this is cricket. Victory to the Australians by 8 wickets.
Da, 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 and so on. But who knew that TV rights could be worth $500 million just to show men hitting a ball with a stick? I mean, that's nearly passing a ball with your hands money or kicking a ball with your feet money. Still, as they say at 9, you've got to spend money to lose money. And by spending this much, it puts cricket in the big boys club of Australian sport, alongside the AFL and NRL. For more on the deal, let's cross now to finance reporter and cricket tragic Clark Richards. Clark, we now know that 9 will keep international cricket after finding $400 million over 5 years, but since it almost went into administration last October with a $3.3 billion debt, can they afford to air the cricket?
Tom, how could they not afford it? 9 airing cricket is an institution. 9 and cricket go together like SBS and foreign boobs. Even if the bigwigs at 9 didn't want to spend $400 million on cricket, they had to. 9 have a cricket legacy to uphold, and now they're $400 million out of pocket. Even worse, they'll have to do it all over again in 5 years' time.
Yeah, so what does 9 need?
Oh, they need cash, Tom. And I, as a Channel 9 cricket fan, want to help.
How are you going to help? You don't have any money. I asked you for $400 million the other day.
I've got 2 words for you, old sport. Prize money. I'm going on game shows to raise some money for cricket on 9. I tried to win a cool million on 9's Millionaire Hot Seat, but since they just forked over $500 million, they're not so willing to give away money. I got stumped on just the $100 question. Who was the caterer on the 1993 film Super Mario Brothers? A. Cecil B. DeMille's. B. Lights, Camera, Sandwich. C. That's a Wrap. D. Pasta and the Furious. Are you f***ing kidding, Eddie?
Wow, yeah, that was really specific.
It's tough times for Channel 9, Tom. Meanwhile, the other networks are kicking back, not spending that cash, which means they can afford their prize money. So I'm going to other networks to win some of that dough from their shows.
Oh, all right, Clark. Well, good luck, and we'll check in with you soon. In the meantime, the Fair Work Commission has approved a 2.6% increase in the minimum wage. It takes the minimum that a business can pay its employees to $622.20 per week, meaning $622.19 a week is now the going rate for the highest paid slave. The Fair Work Commission's president, Justice Ian Ross, says the 2.6% increase matches inflation, which is projected at 2.5%. So at just 0.1% ahead of inflation, it really is the minimum that they could have increased the minimum. Ultimately, it results in an increase for minimum wage workers of $15.80 per week, which is almost a trip to the movies on a Tuesday. And sure, it doesn't sound like a lot, because it's not, but it's still 3 times the increase requested by the governing body for business associations, the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which wanted just $5.80 per week. That barely covers the bus fare to the movie that you can't afford to see because you're on the minimum wage. But it's still way better than the crippling impact of receiving maximum wage.
Oh God, it's payday.
It's how Trump wants to go. Look, we're joined in the studio now by Mark Humphries, who actually worked a minimum wage job as a retail assistant for several years and still has pretty strong opinions about the proposed pay rise. Mark.
Well, Tom, a lot of workers who are on minimum wage would really appreciate this pay rise, but I can tell you that plenty of people in the lowest paid jobs, like in retail, would be just as happy to forego that pay rise if they could have a rise in job satisfaction.
Oh, how so?
Well, when it comes to working in retail, it's the little things that get you down. There's being on your feet for hours at a time. There's the customers customers who pick something up and say it feels broken. And then there's customers who say they don't want to be harassed by store attendants. And then there's the ones who say that they can never get service.
Okay,
well, what am I meant to do? Pretend you don't exist or bow down to you?
Well, Mark...
And then there's those customers who come in and barter with you only to pay for the item with a black Amex card, a card that is so thick and heavy it doesn't even slide comfortably through an FPOS machine. You literally have to break a sweat to put the transaction through.
Just calm
But
down.
you know what the worst is? The worst is that customer who calls you up on a Friday, begs you to hold a cinnamon-scented candle for them over the weekend. Oh, I'll come and pick it up over the weekend. Sure, I'll hold it for you. But you hold it, and then there's only one of those scented candles left, and all weekend people are coming in and saying, can I buy a scented candle? And you say, I've got one, but I've got it on hold for someone. Sorry, but come Monday, they hadn't picked it up. So you think, oh God, what's happened? So you call the customer up and say, I've held the cinnamon-scented candle for you. You didn't pick it up. And they say, oh, I'm sorry, I just forgot to come in. Well, you lied to me. Why would you lie to me? How can you live with yourself?
Yeah, we're going to need to call someone. It's happening again.
And then, when you finally get out of that shitty shop, your day's not over. Oh no, that's when you run into one of your regular customers on the street, and he asks you to order something in for him. When you're on the street, Tom, you're on the street. Now do you realise that an increase in the minimum wage is the least useful thing that you could do for a retail worker?
Let's check in with Clark now to see how his quest to win money for Channel 9's going. What show's he on now?
Hi, Ronan, Nat, the other guy. I'll be singing a song that my grandma used to sing to me when I was a kid. She's no longer with us anymore, so this one's for her. Mr. Lover, lover. Mr. Lover, lover. Oh, she called me Mr. Bombastic, semi-fantastic. Touch me on the back, she says I'm roll.
Well, I just didn't get it.
Well, you haven't heard the last from me.
And finally tonight, Japan's government has admitted that $1 billion earmarked for the victims of the 2011 tsunami has been spent in areas unaffected by the disaster and on projects such as turtle observation and promoting cheese and wine events. And while it might sound like corruption, the Japanese government defended its spending, saying money had been dispersed around the country for good reason. I mean, yeah, I guess if I lived through a tidal wave and nuclear meltdown, I'd want a drink of wine while watching a turtle. That's how I unwind. Now, to demonstrate how Japan's government distributed this money, let's turn to the roast whiteboard. Sean?
Yep.
Where's the roast whiteboard?
I spent the money you gave me on cheese.
Well, we'll cross now to our Japan correspondent, Nick Richardson. Nick, what do you think of this misuse of funds?
Oh, Tom, out of all the stories I've heard about governments misusing public funds, this is by far the one I am least outraged about.
But that money was intended for victims of a natural disaster. That's about as immoral as you can get.
No, absolutely, Tom. Japan is misusing government money like it's some kind of America, but they spent part of that money on turtles. I can't get angry at a turtle, Tom. He's like a little aquatic caravan. But according to ABC Online, there is no suggestion of corruption. So their misuse of funds is kind of like an accident. Like, that's kind of adorable.
Well, not for the 300,000 people still without a home after the tsunami.
Well, yeah, Tom, don't get me wrong, it's terrible. But according to this report, they spent part of that money on a cartoon mascot for a town and a dance troupe. America would never support a dance company. They only give money to banks. So the message here is that a severe misuse of funds can be forgiven as long as it's cute and cuckoo bananas. The rest of the planet could learn a thing or two about misusing disaster relief. Maybe people wouldn't be so sore about African militia intercepting foreign aid if they funneled some of that money into something more adorable, like a kid army.
Oh, no, Nick, they already have kid armies. It's horrible.
No, I don't mean child soldiers. I mean like a baby goat army with like matching little uniforms and helmets. They're like...
All right, Nick, we'll leave it there. And before we go tonight, I hear Clark is having one more crack at winning a game show to raise some money for Channel 9.
This is where we hit the rapids. You going with James?
Yep. K17.
200,000.
Hits!
Yep, that'll do. I'll just take what's in the case.
Royal cake!
The hell was that? Did he win? Did
Tom,
he steal?
I got it. 100 grand.
Hey.
How much of Nine's cricket rights will this pay for?
Well, about this much.
So I need more money.
Yeah.
Are they still airing It's Academic? I could go on that.
Well, it's for children.
Then I can't lose.
All right, well, good luck, Clark, and good night.